Hello there, future English language maestros. I'm your guide on this exciting journey through the world of English prepositions, a topic that might seem as tricky as untangling earphones in your pocket, but is actually as fascinating as discovering hidden treasures. With over 2 decades of teaching experience across 5 continents, yes, I've taught English everywhere from bustling Bangkok street markets to quiet Scottish villages. I've seen how mastering prepositions can transform someone from an English learner into a confident communicator. Think of me as your friendly neighborhood English guru who loves nothing more than watching light bulbs go off above students' heads when they finally get those pesky little words that connect everything together. Before we dive into our comprehensive exploration of prepositions, let me share a quick story. During my early teaching days in Tokyo, I had a student named Hiroshi who struggled terribly with prepositions. He'd say things like, "I'm standing on the bus" instead of "on the bus," or "the book is under my bag" when it was actually next to it. But after 6 months of focused practice using real-life scenarios and creative exercises, Hiroshi went from preposition panic to becoming the class's unofficial preposition expert. This transformation wasn't just about learning rules. It was about understanding how these small words create meaning in context, exactly what we'll be exploring together today. So grab your favourite beverage. Mine's always a strong cup of Yorkshire tea. Get comfortable and prepare to unlock the secrets of English prepositions. By the end of this session, you'll not only understand how to use them correctly, but also appreciate their power in making your English sound natural and fluent. Let's begin our adventure. Understanding. Prepositions. Prepositions are the unsung heroes of the English language, acting as linguistic glue that connects words and phrases to create meaningful relationships between them. At their core, prepositions are short words that show the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other words in a sentence. They answer fundamental questions about location, time, direction, and manner, providing essential context that helps us understand how different elements in a sentence relate to each other. The primary types of prepositions serve distinct purposes in communication. Simple prepositions such as in, at, on, by, with, and about are the most common and versatile members of this word family. These workhorses appear in countless everyday expressions and help us describe basic relationships between objects, people, and events. For instance, when we say the keys are on the table, the preposition on tells us precisely where the keys are located relative to the table. Compound prepositions, formed by combining simple prepositions or adding prefixes, offer more specific connections. Examples include into, onto, within, and outside of. These prepositions often indicate movement or more complex spatial relationships. Consider the difference between "she walked into the room," indicating movement toward and then inside, and "she stood in the room," describing a static position. Phrasal prepositions, though sometimes confused with phrasal verbs, consist of multiple words functioning as a single preposition. Common examples include according to, because of, in front of, and next to. These multi-word units often express more nuanced relationships than their simpler counterparts. For example, the meeting was postponed because of the weather uses the phrasal preposition because of to establish a causal relationship between two events. Each type of preposition plays a crucial role in constructing clear and precise sentences. They help us navigate the complexities of space and time, allowing us to communicate everything from physical locations, the cat is under the bed, to temporal relationships. We'll meet at noon. Without prepositions, our sentences would lack the necessary connections to convey complete thoughts effectively. Understanding how these different types of prepositions function is essential for mastering English communication, as they provide the framework upon which we build meaningful interactions and descriptions. Prepositions of time. When it comes to expressing time in English, prepositions serve as our navigational tools through the temporal landscape. Three fundamental prepositions, at, in, and on, form the backbone of time expression, each with its own sphere of influence and set of rules. Understanding their distinct applications is crucial for communicating temporal information accurately and naturally. The preposition at operates primarily with precise points in time. We use at when referring to specific times of day or exact moments on the clock. For instance, let's meet at 3 p.m. specifies an exact hour, while she called at midnight pinpoints a particular moment. Additionally, at works well with mealtimes, at breakfast, holidays without articles, at Christmas, and certain expressions of age, at the age of 25. It's worth noting that at often implies immediacy or precision, making it ideal for scheduling and planning. In, on the other hand, deals with longer periods and broader time frames. This preposition governs months, in March, years, in 2025, centuries, in the 18th century, and seasons, in summer. It also covers parts of the day, in general terms, in the morning, historical periods, in ancient times, and extended durations, in the future. The key characteristic of in is its association with encompassing time spans rather than specific moments. When you say, "I'll see you in an hour," you're referring to a period that contains multiple moments rather than a single point. On occupies the middle ground between at and in, focusing on specific days and dates. We use on when referencing particular calendar days. On Monday, on July 4th, special occasions with definite dates, on New Year's Day, and combinations of days and dates, on Friday the 13th. Interestingly, on also applies to expressions involving transportation schedules, on time, and media contexts, on television. Unlike at, which zeroes in on precise moments, and in, which embraces broad periods, on strikes a balance by addressing specific yet not instantaneous time references. These temporal prepositions often interact with each other in practical situations. For example, consider the progression. We'll meet at 2 p.m. on Tuesday in the conference room. Here, at specifies the exact time, on identifies the particular day, and in indicates the location, all working together seamlessly. Another common combination appears in expressions like, I'll arrive in June on the 15th at noon, where each preposition handles its appropriate temporal aspect. Special cases and exceptions add nuance to these rules. For instance, we say at night, but in the morning, evening, afternoon, reflecting historical usage patterns. Similarly, on the weekend is preferred in American English, while British English favours at the weekend. Expressions like at present, meaning now, and in the present, referring to current circumstances, demonstrate how subtle differences in preposition choice can alter meaning. Understanding these temporal prepositions extends beyond mere memorization of rules. Native speakers intuitively grasp the appropriate preposition based on whether they're referring to a precise moment, a specific day, or a broader time frame. This intuitive understanding develops through exposure to authentic language use and consistent practice. For learners, paying attention to how native speakers combine these prepositions in natural conversation can significantly enhance their ability to use them correctly and confidently. Prepositions of place. Just as temporal prepositions help us organize time, place prepositions provide the framework for describing spatial relationships in English, while at, in, and on again take center stage. Their application to physical spaces follows distinct patterns that require careful attention. These prepositions help us pinpoint locations with precision, from exact addresses to vast geographical areas, and understanding their proper usage is essential for clear communication about place. The preposition at serves as our marker for specific points or precise locations. We use at when referring to exact addresses, at 123 Main Street, buildings, at the library, or notable landmarks, at the Eiffel Tower. It's particularly useful for indicating destinations or meeting points, as in, wait for me at the entrance, or she's at the doctor's office. Notably, at often implies a particular spot within a larger area. When we say he's at school, we mean he's physically present somewhere within the school premises, not necessarily in a specific classroom. In, conversely, encompasses larger, contained spaces. This preposition dominates when describing cities in New York, countries in France, rooms in the kitchen, and enclosed areas in the car. The key concept within is containment or inclusion within boundaries. For instance, the keys are in my pocket suggests they're completely surrounded by the pocket space. Similarly, when we say she lives in London, we're placing her within the city's geographical limits. An interesting aspect of in is its use with bodies of water. We swim in the pool or in the ocean, emphasizing being surrounded by water. On, occupying its characteristic middle ground, deals with surfaces and attachment. We use on when something is physically touching or resting upon another surface. The book is on the table. There's a fly on the wall. This preposition also governs transportation modes, where passengers are considered to be on a surface. On the bus, on the plane, on the train. However, cars are an exception, where we typically say in the car. Additionally, on handles directional relationships with vertical surfaces. The picture hangs on the wall. Write your name on the board. These place prepositions frequently work together to provide detailed location information. Consider the sequence. She's at the office in the conference room on the 3rd floor. Each preposition contributes a layer of specificity from the general building, at, to the particular room in, and its vertical position, on. Another common combination appears in addresses. The restaurant is at 456 Elm Street on the corner in downtown Manhattan. Special cases and exceptions add complexity to these patterns. For instance, while we generally say in the car, we switch to on when referring to motorcycles, on the motorcycle, or bicycles, on the bike. Similarly, islands present unique challenges. Small islands typically take on Martha's Vineyard, while larger ones use in Australia. The distinction between in the street, British English suggesting being among the traffic, and on the street, American English implying standing beside the road, demonstrates how regional variations can affect preposition choice. Understanding these spatial prepositions requires developing a mental map of how English conceptualizes space. Native speakers intuitively grasp whether a location should be treated as a specific point, a containing space, or a surface. This intuition develops through exposure to authentic language use and consistent practice. For learners, observing how native speakers combine these prepositions in natural conversation can significantly enhance their ability to use them correctly and confidently. Paying attention to these spatial relationships helps create vivid, precise descriptions of location that paint clear pictures in the listener's mind. Directional prepositions. While temporal and spatial prepositions establish when and where things exist, directional prepositions bring movement and orientation to life in English communication. These dynamic prepositions, including to, from, toward, away from, up, down, through, across, and over, serve as verbal compasses, guiding our understanding of motion and position changes. Their mastery transforms static descriptions into narratives of action and transition. The fundamental directional prepositions to and from form the basis of movement description. To indicates movement toward a destination or goal, as in she walked to the store or send this letter to my office. It establishes a clear endpoint for the action. Conversely, from denotes origin or departure, as demonstrated in he came from Chicago or take this book from the shelf. These prepositions often work in tandem, creating complete movement stories. I travelled from Paris to Rome, where both starting point and destination are clearly defined. More nuanced directional prepositions add layers of specificity to movement descriptions. Toward suggests movement in a particular direction without necessarily reaching the destination, as in, the ship sailed toward the horizon. Its counterpart, away from, indicates movement in the opposite direction. The crowd moved away from the explosion. These prepositions help convey intention and trajectory without specifying completion of the journey. Vertical movement finds expression through up and down. While these prepositions might seem straightforward, their usage extends beyond simple elevation changes. Up can indicate progress, your score went up, or intensity, turn the volume up, while down might suggest reduction, prices went down, or cessation, sit down. In physical movement, we distinguish between climbing up the stairs and walking down the hill, where the prepositions precisely describe the direction of travel. The prepositions through, across, and over handle more complex movement patterns. Through describes movement within a three-dimensional space, often implying passage from one side to another while remaining enclosed. The train went through the tunnel. Across focuses on horizontal movement over a surface or area. We swam across the river. Meanwhile, over suggests movement above something, either horizontally, the plane flew over the mountains, or vertically, jump over the puddle. These directional prepositions frequently combine to create detailed movement narratives. Consider the sequence. She drove through the city, across the bridge, and over the hills toward the coast. Each preposition contributes a specific aspect of the journey, painting a vivid picture of the route taken. Another common combination appears in instructions. Walk up the stairs, through the door, and across the hall to reach the office. Special cases and idiomatic expressions add richness to directional preposition usage. Phrases like run into trouble, encounter problems, or fall behind schedule, not keep up with planned timing, demonstrate how these prepositions extend beyond literal movement to convey abstract concepts. Similarly, expressions such as look forward to, anticipate with pleasure, or back away from, retreat cautiously, showcase how directional prepositions contribute to nuanced emotional and social meanings. Mastering directional prepositions requires understanding not just their literal meanings, but also their metaphorical extensions. Native speakers intuitively grasp how these prepositions can describe everything from physical journeys to emotional states and professional progress. This versatility makes directional prepositions powerful tools for storytelling and descriptive writing, enabling speakers to convey complex movements and transitions with clarity and precision. Agentive prepositions. Beyond the realms of time, space, and direction, agentive prepositions illuminate the crucial relationships between actions, their performers, and the means by which they're carried out. The prepositions by, with, and through serve as linguistic lenses, focusing our attention on who does what and how things are accomplished. These prepositions transform simple statements into rich narratives of causation, methodology, and agency. The preposition by stands as the primary indicator of agency, revealing who or what performs an action. In passive constructions, by introduces the agent responsible for the action. The window was broken by the storm, or this painting was created by Monet. This usage becomes particularly important in formal writing and technical documentation, where identifying sources and responsible parties is crucial. Beyond its role in passive voice, by also expresses proximity and authorship. The book is by the lamp, physical proximity, and this theory was developed by Einstein, intellectual creation. With shifts our focus to the instruments, tools, or accompaniments involved in actions. When describing how something is done, with introduces the means or instrument. She cut the paper with scissors. He wrote the letter with a fountain pen. This preposition extends beyond physical tools to include abstract instruments. With great effort, they completed the project, or with patience, you can master any skill. Additionally, with handles accompaniment and possession. She arrived with her brother, companionship, and the man with the briefcase left early. Possession or association. Through adds another dimension to agentive relationships by emphasizing process and medium. This preposition often describes how something is achieved, or the channel through which something occurs. We succeeded through hard work. Information travels through fiber optic cables. Through also handles duration and continuity. They worked through the night, or read through the document carefully. In scientific and technical contexts, through frequently describes mechanisms and pathways. Electricity flows through the circuit. Light passes through the prism. These agentive prepositions frequently collaborate to provide comprehensive descriptions of actions and their execution. Consider the sequence. The experiment was conducted by the research team with precision instruments through a series of controlled steps. Each preposition contributes a distinct aspect of the action. By identifies the agents, with specifies the tools, and through outlines the method. Another common combination appears in achievement narratives. Success was achieved by the entrepreneur with innovative thinking through persistent effort. Special cases and idiomatic expressions enrich the usage of agentive prepositions. Phrases like by heart, memorized perfectly, with flying colours, successfully, and through thick and thin, under all circumstances, demonstrate how these prepositions extend beyond literal meanings to convey deeper significance. Similarly, expressions such as by chance, accidentally, with regard to, concerning, and through trial and error, experimentally showcase the versatility of agentive prepositions in describing various aspects of human experience. Understanding these agentive prepositions requires recognizing their ability to transform simple actions into complex narratives of causation and methodology. Native speakers intuitively grasp how to use these prepositions to describe everything from personal achievements to scientific breakthroughs. This mastery enables speakers to articulate not just what happened, but who made it happen, what tools were used, and through what processes success was achieved. Complex prepositions and fixed expressions. As we delve deeper into the realm of prepositions, we encounter complex prepositions and fixed expressions, linguistic structures that defy simple categorization, yet play vital roles in natural English communication. These sophisticated combinations, including in spite of, because of, instead of, due to, apart from, and as for, represent evolved forms of expression that native speakers employ instinctively to convey nuanced meanings and sophisticated relationships between ideas. Complex prepositions function as single units despite their multi-word composition. In spite of and despite its single-word counterpart, introduce contrasting elements, establishing relationships of opposition or contradiction. In spite of the rain, they continued their hike. Similarly, because of creates causal relationships more explicitly than because alone. The game was cancelled because of the storm. These complex prepositions often serve as more formal or emphatic alternatives to their simpler counterparts, adding weight and precision to statements. Instead of and rather than introduce alternatives and substitutions, helping speakers navigate choices and preferences. While similar in meaning, they differ in grammatical structure and emphasis. Instead of coffee, she ordered tea, noun-noun replacement, versus rather than wait, he decided to leave, verb-to-verb comparison. Due to and owing to handle explanations and attributions, particularly in formal contexts. The delay was due to unforeseen circumstances, where these expressions serve as more polished alternatives to because of. Fixed expressions, incorporating prepositions, add colour and authenticity to English communication. In addition to, expands upon previous points. In addition to his regular duties, he took on extra projects. Apart from, introduces exclusions or additions. Apart from John, everyone attended the meeting. As for, signals a shift in focus or topic. As for your question, let me explain further. These expressions function as discourse markers, helping organize thoughts and guide listeners through complex discussions. The distinction between complex prepositions and fixed expressions lies in their flexibility and grammatical behavior. Complex prepositions maintain relatively fixed word order and function as single units, while fixed expressions may allow some variation and often carry idiomatic meanings. For instance, in case of, complex preposition maintains strict word order and meaning, whereas just in case, fixed expression allows slight variations and carries a more conditional sense. Mastery of these advanced prepositional structures requires understanding their subtle distinctions and appropriate contexts. Native speakers naturally select between in spite of and despite based on formality and rhythm, choose because of for explicit causation, and employ due to in more formal explanations. They instinctively recognize when instead of requires noun forms and when rather than permits verb forms, adjusting their language accordingly. Practical applications of these complex structures abound in professional and academic settings. Business reports frequently employ due to and owing to for formal explanations, while negotiations utilize instead of and rather than to explore alternatives. Academic writing relies heavily on in addition to and apart from to build arguments and acknowledge counterpoints. Even casual conversation benefits from these structures, as for helps organize thoughts and in spite of adds dramatic contrast to personal anecdotes. Common errors and pitfalls, despite their fundamental importance, prepositions remain one of the most challenging aspects of English for both learners and occasional native speakers. Certain prepositional pairings consistently trip up even experienced English users, often leading to awkward or incorrect expressions. Understanding these common pitfalls and their underlying causes can significantly improve communication accuracy and fluency. One frequent source of confusion stems from direct translations from other languages. Romance language speakers, for instance, often struggle with listen to versus hear. While hear functions independently, I hear music. Listen requires the preposition to, listen to this song. Similarly, German speakers might mistakenly omit prepositions entirely, saying, I'm interested your proposal instead of I'm interested in your proposal. These errors reflect literal translations rather than natural English usage patterns. Collocation errors represent another significant challenge. English has numerous verb-preposition combinations that must be learned as fixed pairs. Mistakes like depend of instead of depend on, complain about mistaken for complain for, or succeed in confused with succeed at, demonstrate how easily these pairings can be mixed up. Even native speakers occasionally stumble with less common combinations like rely upon versus rely on, or approve of versus agree with. Contextual misuse frequently occurs with seemingly similar prepositions. The distinction between in the corner, inside a room, and on the corner, street intersection, confuses many learners. Similarly, the difference between arrive at specific places and arrive in cities, countries, often leads to errors. Time expressions present their own challenges. On time, punctual, versus in time, before deadline, or at night versus in the morning, demonstrate how subtle prepositional choices can dramatically affect meaning. Idiomatic expressions pose particular difficulties because their prepositional components often defy logical explanation. Mistakes like take care for yourself instead of take care of yourself, or look forward to meet you rather than look forward to meeting you, reveal gaps in understanding fixed expressions. Other common errors include different from, confused with different than, or jealous of, mistaken for jealous about. Cultural and regional variations add another layer of complexity. American English prefers on the weekend, while British English favours at the weekend. Transportation prepositions show similar variations. Americans say on the street, while Britons prefer in the street. These differences can lead to misunderstandings even among native speakers from different regions. To overcome these challenges, several strategies prove effective. First, extensive reading and listening to authentic materials helps internalize correct prepositional usage through context. Second, maintaining a personal log of problematic prepositions and their correct collocations builds awareness. Third, practicing with targeted exercises that focus on common error patterns reinforces proper usage. Finally, seeking feedback from proficient speakers and using language correction tools can catch mistakes before they become ingrained habits. Mastering prepositions. Through practical scenarios, to truly cement our understanding of prepositions, let's explore how these linguistic connectors function in authentic everyday situations. Imagine Sarah, a marketing professional, preparing for an international conference call. Her preparation and participation demonstrate how prepositions weave through professional communication. At 9 a.m. on Monday, she logged into the video conference from her home office. During the call, she presented her quarterly report on market trends in Southeast Asia. Despite technical issues with her microphone, she managed to convey key insights through visual aids and successfully answered questions from clients across various time zones. Social interactions similarly rely heavily on precise preposition usage. Consider Tom's evening plans. After finishing work at 6 p.m., Tom met his friends at the new Italian restaurant on Main Street. They sat outside on the terrace, enjoying dinner while watching the sunset over the city skyline. Throughout the evening, they discussed everything from current events to personal goals, often laughing at inside jokes and reminiscing about past adventures. This scenario showcases how prepositions help organize temporal sequences, spatial arrangements, and thematic discussions. Academic contexts demand particularly careful preposition selection. A university student writing a research paper might structure their argument as follows. In recent years, significant progress has been made in renewable energy technology through innovative approaches to solar panel efficiency. According to data collected by researchers at MIT, improvements in material science have led to breakthroughs in energy conversion rates. Despite initial skepticism from traditional energy sectors, these advancements have gained widespread acceptance among environmental scientists and policymakers alike. Professional writing demonstrates how prepositions contribute to clarity and precision. A business email might read, subject, quarterly sales report, due by end of week. Dear team, please submit your individual sales reports to me by Friday at 5 p.m. Make sure to include detailed breakdowns of client interactions, along with supporting documentation for all major accounts. During our meeting next week, we'll go over the results and discuss strategies for improving performance in the coming quarter. Looking forward to your submissions. Even casual conversations benefit from proper preposition usage. A typical exchange might unfold, "Hey, did you hear about Emily? She's been accepted into a graduate program at Stanford. Apparently, she applied last fall and just received her acceptance letter yesterday." According to her, the interview process was pretty intense, but she managed to impress the committee with her research proposal on climate change adaptation strategies. Anyway, she's really excited about moving to California in August and starting this new chapter in her academic career. These practical examples illustrate how prepositions function as the invisible threads connecting our thoughts and experiences. From organizing professional tasks to navigating social interactions and articulating academic arguments, prepositions provide the structural framework that makes communication coherent and meaningful. By observing how native speakers naturally incorporate prepositions into various contexts, learners can develop an intuitive sense of their appropriate usage and gradually integrate them into their own communication patterns. Conclusion. As we reach the culmination of our prepositional journey, it's clear that these seemingly modest words wield extraordinary power in shaping effective English communication. Like skilled conductors leading an orchestra, prepositions coordinate the various elements of language, transforming isolated words into harmonious expressions of meaning. Their mastery isn't merely about following grammatical rules, but about unlocking the ability to convey precise relationships between time, space, action, and thought. The true value of prepositions lies in their capacity to add depth and nuance to communication. Consider how "she waited at the station" differs subtly from "she waited by the station" or "she waited near the station." Each preposition paints a distinct mental image. This precision enables speakers to create vivid, accurate descriptions that resonate with listeners. Similarly, understanding the distinction between interested in and interested by allows communicators to express their engagement with topics more authentically. For English learners, dedicating time to prepositional study yields substantial returns in communication effectiveness. Rather than viewing prepositions as arbitrary obstacles, embrace them as tools for crafting more sophisticated and natural-sounding English. Start by maintaining a preposition journal, noting how native speakers use them in various contexts. Practice by describing daily activities with conscious attention to prepositional choices, and gradually incorporate more complex structures into your speech and writing. Remember that mastery comes through consistent mindful practice rather than rote memorization. Engage with authentic materials, podcasts, films, books, and conversations, while actively listening for prepositional patterns. Participate in language exchanges where you can receive immediate feedback on your prepositional usage. Most importantly, be patient with yourself. Like any worthwhile skill, proficiency with prepositions develops gradually through repeated exposure and application. As you continue your English learning journey, approach prepositions not as mere grammatical requirements, but as opportunities to refine your expressive capabilities. Each correctly chosen preposition represents another step toward fluency and confidence in communication. With dedication and practice, you'll find these small words transforming from puzzling challenges into powerful allies in your quest for English mastery.